Welcome everyone to our session today in What's New? Enhance Interactions Using Mail Merge with Word Templates. I'm Derek.
And I'm Stig Hillendal.
And let's get started. On the agenda for today, we'll talk about the current state of things. What limitations do we have for Word templates, etc. And then we'll go into what's new that's coming for Word templates. For example, multi-level related entities, unrelated entities, field selection, and calculated views. Then we'll go into the new workflow for editing documents, being able to open and edit documents in Microsoft 365, and how you can integrate this into your feature. And lastly, we'll summarize all of this for you at the end. So let's get started with the current state of things. What limitations do we have in Word templates? So you can only have related entities to your source entity, and you can't have unrelated entities. All views for the source and related entities are added, but Word will only show you the first 250. So if you have more than 250 views, the additional ones will not be shown. And you cannot have dynamically calculated views, for example, with salutations in Business Central. With interactions, we're currently missing salutations and company information. And this is something that comes from on-prem, and we're trying to bring back feature parity. And you're unable to add other unrelated information that is not related to your document. And then when you have to edit documents, right, you need to download a file to your local machine, open that up, for example, in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, make those edits, and then put them back into Business Central. And now I'll hand it off to Steve.
Thank you, Derek. So let's talk about what's new in Word templates. I'll introduce 4 new features and explain how each of them enhance your interaction experience using Business Central. So let's start with the first feature, multi-level related entities. Related entities allow you to access additional data beyond the source record. But until now, related entities were limited to only the source entity. Now we're removing this restriction by supporting multi-level related entities. So if you have, for example, a template for the contact entity, you could add the salesperson, and then you could keep on going from there. So let's see how that would work in Business Central. All right, so we're here in Business Central. And I'm going to go to the Word templates page to create a new template. So we're going to click New, create a template. Then we're going to select the source entity, sales invoice header. I could add a new entity here, but let's just use the sales invoice header. Then we see there's a new view here, and we see the sales invoice header is the source entity. So to add a related entity, we can click up here on Add Related Entity, and then I select one. So here I pick from predefined relations. I could, of course, clear this filter and define my own relations, but yet let's use the predefined ones. So I'll scroll down and I'll select the contact entity. Then we see it used the sell to contact number. We could also select the bill to, but let's go with the sell to for now. And then we'll add that. And we see it's added under the sales invoice header to show this relation. Now, we also see the relation here. Now, to add a further relation, we can just go to the contact entity and add a related entity here. And then we get to pick from the fields in the contact entity. So here we can, for example, pick the salesperson purchaser. I click OK. And I click OK again. And now we created this hierarchy of sales invoice header, contact, salesperson, purchaser, where we have all these different relations. So we can add further ones to the sales invoice header. Let's just go ahead and add one here. And I'm going to create a shipping template. So let's find the shipping agent. We can change the field prefix, which will show up in Word. And now we added that. So now we added all these different related entities, and we can use these related entities in our template. All right, so let's talk about the next feature, unrelated entities. Because what do you do if you want access to data that's not directly related to the source entity? Well, now we enable you to select and merge relevant data from unrelated entities, such as the company information. So the company information isn't really accessible through the context of what we're merging, but we can still add specific records and use information from those. So let's jump back into Business Central and see how that works. So we're back in our template here, and now to add an unrelated entity, I simply go up to this tab and I press Add Unrelated Entity. Now I get to pick from all the tables in Business Central. I could, of course, filter this on the ID, but I know that the company information is number 79. So let's go ahead and add this. Then we get a message saying the table contains only one record, which has been automatically selected. If there were multiple records, then I would be able to pick which one to use. But here we actually see that it picked the company that I'm in. Out here we see selected record Kronos, which is the company that we're currently in. And then we can also see out here that they are on a separate level to show that they are not related. And I could also go ahead and add related entities now to the unrelated entity. So for this, I could, for example, add, let's say, country region. And that will give me access to the fields from this as well. So now I have the country region and the company information, and I have my unrelated fields and my related ones. So let's go to the next feature, field selection. Because with all these different tables now being added, you'll very quickly run into the problem of the limit with 250 fields in Word. So field selection will allow you to limit the number of fields by selecting the fields you want to include in your template. So you can go ahead and limit it and make it more easy to work with and more manageable. So let's jump into the demo here. To do this in Business Central, all I have to do is go to this column, number of selected fields. You can see here that if I select one of these numbers, I'm able to see the fields that were automatically selected. So we make a default selection here, but you can of course go ahead and change this. So if you edit the list, we could, for example, add the bill to customer number. And then I press OK. And now you see the number of fields is updated. So another way to do it is, let's say, go to company information, and then we can actually go ahead and edit the list and mark everything. So I'll just select everything, and then I can exclude everything. So now we don't have any fields. And then we can go ahead and just add only the ones that we want to use in our template. So I'll add a couple of fields here. And let's add a couple more. And once we're happy, we press OK. And you see that now there's only 6 fields selected here. So with field selection, you can limit the number of fields that is displayed in Word to make sure that you're under the 250 limit, and also to make it easier and more manageable to work with. And then there's the last feature for Word templates, calculated fields, because accessing data directly is not always possible. For example, a salutation can be generated based on a contact, but it's not like a designated field on the contact. You need to call a function to generate the salutation. And therefore, we added support for extending Word template fields, and we used that to add salutations for the contact entity. So let's see how we can use that in Business Central. So we already added the contact entity. So let's go ahead and look at the fields in the contact entity. We see here that there's the formal salutation and the informal salutation, and these are field type calculated. So they're not actual fields on the table, but they are accessible through the contact. You also see they don't have a field number. So how are these actually added? I want to show you very quickly how little code it took to add them and how you can do it as well. So all it took was to subscribe to 2 events, on get custom field names, where we simply just supply the field names you want to use, and then on get custom record values, where we supply the values for those fields. So that's basically all it takes to extend this. We can use the existing salutations, and that's it. So now we have these fields. So let's go ahead and actually set up our Word template. So we can download the template, but I actually set one up already. So you see here I set up a template and the merge fields are added through mailings, insert merge field. And here we see the bill to customer number that we added. We also see fields from other records such as sales and the company, which is the unrelated record, just the 6 fields we selected. And then there's the contact, where at the bottom we have the formal salutation and informal salutations. So let's look at how I set up this template. I had the bill to customer number here, which is from the source record. Then I use the salutation down here, which is going to be generated for the contact that I'm merging on. And it's going to be replaced here. And then I added a couple of fields just from the source record and from the ship record. And then interestingly, down here at the bottom, I have the salesperson name, which is a second level relation, because this one we got from the contact that we got from the sales invoice header. And then at the very bottom, I have the unrelated entities, the company. So I have the company name, address, city, and so on. And then I use the country name as well, which is the related one to the company. So I'm using all the features here, and you can see how I set up this template to use all the different features. So let's go back into Business Central and let's upload this template. Once it's uploaded, I just need to give it a code. We'll call it invoice, and then we'll name it shipping and invoice. Press finish, and there we have our new Word template. So I could, of course, go ahead and edit the related entities. I can download and upload, but we're happy with our template for now. So before we go ahead and apply it, let's talk about what we've done so far. We used multi-level related entities by adding the salesperson from the contact that we got from the sales invoice header. We used unrelated entities by adding the company information. We used field selection to limit the number of fields in our template to make it more manageable to work with. And then we used calculated fields in the form of a salutation. So let's go in and apply this Word template and see how it works. So I'm back in Business Central, and now I'm going to go to the posted sales invoice page. From the posted sales invoice, I'll just send the first one by email. And from here, I can apply a Word template. And you see the existing one that's already here is pretty similar, but we added a couple of more information. So I add the shipping and invoice, I apply that, and you see it changed. So now it's actually using my Word template, and I could set this up any way I wanted. You see the bill to customer number is here. You see the salutation is Hi, School of Fine Art. So this salutation is actually from the salutations in Business Central. So I can change what I want to write here. In the salutation page, it's a company, so I can set it for the company. And for English, you see it's Hi and then the company name. So I can change that to hello, for example. And if I use the Word template again, you'll see that it changes. And then besides that, I added a couple of basic fields. You see those merged in as well. And then at the very bottom, you see Jim Olive, which is a salesperson name. So this we actually got through the contact, which is Megan Bond. So let's go to the contacts page and let's see this relation. So Megan Bond is the contact that we're sending to. So we can see here that Megan Bond's salesperson we see is Jim Olive. So that's where we got that from. And then lastly, we have the unrelated record, which is the company information. And that's practical to have because if your company information ever changes, you can just go to the company information page. And then you can change any of the information here. So let's, for the sake of it, just say the address changed. We would change it here. And now we don't have to change any of our Word templates. We can simply just apply them and they will use the latest information. So that's pretty much it for the features in Word templates, but this can actually also be used in interactions. So if we go to interaction templates, you see that it has a Word template code. And this Word template code, you can create a Word template here through create interaction Word template. And then we have the interaction merge data record, which is a special record for interactions. And when I click next, you see that this is the same page as before. We have the salesperson purchase, we have the contact, we have the company information, which is an unrelated record. So, and you can keep on adding related records and anything else. You can basically use all the features we just showed in interactions as well, essentially removing the gap we have from on-prem interactions and SaaS interactions. So to sum it up, how we enhance interactions using mail merge. Well, first of all, we added multi-level related entities, which will allow you to create deeper and more complex hierarchies of relations. And it will also give you access to more information in your templates. Then we have unrelated entities, which allow you to merge data from selected entities that are unrelated to the source entity. And it also provides you with a wider range of data points to merge from when building your template. Then we have field selection, which limits the number of fields that are shown. And this will give you, basically make it more easy and manageable to set up your templates to exclude unnecessary fields. And lastly, we have calculated fields, which enables you to use salutation in Word templates, but also enables you to extend Word templates with your own calculated fields. So now I'll hand it back to Derek to talk about what else is new.
Thank you, Steve. And now I'll talk about the new workflow for editing documents. So we're editing documents. Now you'll be able to edit your documents online in Microsoft 365 and have those documents updated in Business Central seamlessly in a continuous flow. And you might think about what kind of documents can you actually use here. So the different type of documents that you can are Word documents, Excel documents, PowerPoint, open document format text documents, and regular text documents. This is more limitation of what is on Microsoft 365. And let's get into the demo. Okay, so now we're in Business Central. So the first thing we need to do is ensure that this feature is enabled. So I'll go to OneDrive Setup, and to ensure that that has been enabled, come to the OneDrive Setup, go next. And the one we want to ensure that's enabled is Use with System Features. And we can see it is, so great. Next, and done. So the way I'm going to show you this implementation is when I'm sending an email. So I'll go to my customers. I'll select Adatum Corporation. And I will send an email. Now I have my email editor. I'll scroll down to the attachments, and I'll use Add File from Word Templates. In this case, I'm just going to use the default, the customer event Word template. And one thing you'll notice here that's different is that now there's this middle section that says you can edit the document created from the Word template to provide a custom message, and that is what we will do. So if we click Edit Document, and now this will copy the file into your OneDrive folder, and this is the business for OneDrive folder. However, for each user, it is individual to that user, and other users will not be able to access this. So I need to allow pop-ups, and it will open a new tab, and we'll see Word Online. It will show me the already merged file, and I can make my modifications here. And so, for example, I want to give him a 50% discount and customize it a little. We look forward to seeing you there, and thank you for your continuous patronage. And now I'll just let it save, and it is saved, as we can see in the top left, and then I'll close this tab. Now there'll be pop-up whether we want to bring this edited document back in, and I do, so I'll click yes. And now we'll see that, okay, now the document has been edited, and I want this to be outputted in a PDF format. I'll click Finish, and now it's been added. So let me download this and double check. And we can see the change is there. It's getting a 50% discount, and my custom message is there as well. Okay, so now you've seen how easy it is for your customers and for the partners to be able to use this feature. Now let's get to the demo for the integration. So I have a very simple extension here. It has a code unit, a table, and a page. The table just has an ID, name, a field to keep the extension, and a blob to store my data, which is the document. A very simple page, which all it does is show the ID, the name, and the extension of the file. And I have 4 functions. And the 4 functions are 2 of them related to create documents. One is in a regular form that I'll show you, and then a different way of using the system application to create it as well. And then being able to modify an existing document and download. So in the underlying code, very simply, to create a document, a blank one, firstly, we want to check if this feature has been enabled. So I will be calling the document sharing code unit share enable and ensuring that the system source has been enabled. And once I verified that it is enabled, I'll create a file name. I'll use a file name that will show up in the OneDrive. And all I really need to call is document service management edit in OneDrive. I give it the name with a extension type. I give it the extension and the template. And the data that is pulled from OneDrive, once you have done your editing, will be stored within this template. And so let me show you this in Business Central. Now let's take a look at how that works from that extension. So I've already published the extension. So I have some stuff here. Let me use create document. And it will automatically open up that tab. And now you see I have a blank document here. So this was my new blank document. And now I just give it a moment to save. And then I'll close the tab. And yes, I want to add this back in. And now we see it's number 17 and we've added this. And to very quickly take a look at that, let's download this file as well. And let's open this up. And now we can see the edited document and having the data, and I've downloaded it. Great. So now I'll show you the other way of creating an empty document, calling directly into the system application layer. First, you want to check that the feature is enabled, so as before. And then you'll need a document sharing record. Now this table is of temporary type, so you can insert without worrying. You need to give it the name, so the file name. You need to give it an extension, and we'll keep it as docx. You need to give it the source. In this case, it will be system, and it's also the same one that we are checking that the feature has been enabled. And we need to give it an intent. And in this case, because we're going to be editing it and taking it back, we need to give it the edit intent. And like the other one, calling into the document service management, this is, aside from creating this record, it is also just one line to call, which is document sharing dot share, and you pass it the record. The big difference between using the system application layer and using the document service management is that you will need to add your own validation. So once it is complete, you need to add your own validation to determine whether a file has actually been created or not, or it has been modified. And then how do you go about editing or modifying an existing document? It's very simple as well. So with modifying, all you really need to do, and in this case I'm using the document service management, is actually to copy the data from your source into the template that is being passed through. So in this case, I'm taking my data in my document, and I'm going to copy that into my template. And it's the exact same, almost the exact same code, where it will pass in the same template, and this will open up the file that I've created for editing. So very quickly to just show you that. Now we're back in Business Central. The same one that we had just created previously. Let me just modify that. And it's saying that the file already exists. This is because we created it just now. And let's replace it from what is on in Business Central. And we can see this is the one that comes up after telling it to replace, which is great. Okay, and I wanted to just show you one more bit. As I had mentioned, you can use Word documents, Excel, PowerPoint. So let me show you that Excel will work as well. So if I go to my customers, I'd add some corporation, and I have added a Excel file here already, and it's called expense. So I actually want to edit this. So I press the action edit in OneDrive, and it does the same thing as copying it over. And we can see Excel Online opens up, and I can make all my changes here as I need. And then once I close it, and then I can bring it back into Business Central. And there you go. That is how easy it is to integrate that into your feature. And now to summarize everything that we've gone over today, is for Word templates, you get multi-level related entities, you get unrelated entities, field selection, and calculated views. With interactions, salutation and company information are back, and you can also still add on additional information that you like from all the features that Word template now provides. When it comes to editing documents, integrating with Microsoft 365 to edit your documents seamlessly, very easy to edit into your feature, and very easy for your customers to use, bringing back a very seamless flow to Business Central. Thank you for joining us in this session today, and enjoy the rest of your Business Central release Wave 1.